You know, some stories you hear are just so powerful, they almost feel like myths. But they're not. They belong to real people. And today, we're going to talk about one of those lives, the life of Henry Knorpp. His story is just an incredible testament to what the human spirit can actually endure.
All right, let's just dive right in, starting with the two moments that completely changed everything for him. And we're not talking about a slow decline here. This was bam, two sudden, brutal events that threw him into an entirely new world.
Just try to imagine this. It's 1889. Industrial safety isn't really a thing yet. He's working on a boiler and a piece of steel just flies right into his eye. A horrible, devastating injury. But then, just 2 years later, a hot cinder from a train hits his other eye. So in the span of just 24 months, his entire world just fades to black, permanently. And that's the real question here, isn't it? After losing your sight, your job, your very independence in such a horrific way, how on earth do you find the will to keep going? Well, to even start to understand how he did it, we've got to go back. We have to look at the full, vibrant life he had built before all this happened. Because this wasn't just some guy. He was a father, a husband, a veteran. He'd already lived a whole life. So here's the backstory. He was born in Missouri, the son of a German immigrant. He actually served in the Union Army during the Civil War. After that, he married his wife, Mary Rachel Mesplay, and like so many people back then, he moved his family to the Joplin area, chasing that American dream in the lead and zinc mines. And man, what a family they built. He and Mary had 9 children together. I mean, look at all these names. 8 of them made it to adulthood. This is what he was working for. This was everything to him. The family that counted on him. But that promise of opportunity, that whole idea of the American dream, it came with a price tag, a really, really high one. The very mines that were supposed to build his family's future instead became the source of tragedy that just echoed down the generations. And this is where the story gets just heartbreaking. Henry lost his sight because of industry. Well, years later, his own son, William, gets blinded in one eye from a mine explosion. As if that wasn't enough, William then gets tuberculosis from the awful conditions in those mine shafts, and he dies at just 50 years old. 50! Leaving his own young family behind. This quote, wow, it just says it all, doesn't it? A simple line from the historical record that captures the brutal truth. The mines gave with one hand, but they took so much with the other, casting this massive shadow over the Knorpp family. Now, this is the point where, for most people, the story would just end, a total tragedy. But not for Henry. For him, this is where a completely new chapter begins, a chapter of just unbelievable resilience. How do you find the light when all you can see is darkness? So after he was blinded, he moved the family back to a town called Pleasant Hill. Just 5 years after that, his wife Mary dies. So now he's a blind widower, but get this, he just refused to be a burden on anyone. He actually remarried twice, and he completely reinvented himself, determined to stay self-sufficient. And that leads me to this number, 19,000. On its own, it's just a number. But for a man living in total darkness, what it represents is, well, it's almost unbelievable. That right there is how many Brazilian sweet potato slips he raised and sold in a single season, after he went completely blind. Think about that. He became this master gardener, all by feel, by touch, by memory. He didn't just survive in the darkness, he found a way to thrive in it. So you gotta wonder, right? Where does that kind of strength, that will, come from? Well, for Henry, the source was very clear. It was a deep, unwavering faith that he held on to through it all. He was a man of deep faith, a devout Methodist, and that resilience, that spirit, it didn't go unnoticed. People in his community deeply respected him. He lived a long, full life, staying active right up until the end, when he passed away in 1919 during the Spanish flu pandemic. And look at this. These were his last words, a message for his church. It tells you everything you need to know about where his focus was. Through the blindness, the grief, all of it, his faith was the anchor that kept him steady. So Henry Knorpp's story, it really makes you stop and think, doesn't it? It's about more than just surviving. It's about finding purpose, even finding a way to be productive inside of unimaginable hardship.
It really challenges us to ask ourselves, what does it truly mean to endure?